Hello, and welcome to Busy, Gritty, Inked, and Witchy, a magical living podcast for the busy witch. I'm Morgan, eclectic witch of more than 20 years, self-proclaimed fluffy bunny, light worker, and busy witch. Here we will talk all things witchy, including my personal magical tips and tricks, busy witch hacks, and real talk about current metaphysical happenings, which wouldn't be complete without my snark and unique way of looking at the world. So brew some coffee or tea, sit back, and let's do this. All right, hello everyone. Welcome back to Busy, Gritty, Inked, and Witchy. We are in episode 90. And today I have a guest. I'm so excited. I have with me Megan Winkler. So Megan, say hello and tell the listeners a little bit about yourself.
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for having me back on, by the way, Morgan. It's so much fun to chat with you. I am the Good Business Witch, and I'm also on Team IGC as I think marketing goddess is my title. And I help people build better businesses and things. And I do that by integrating strategy and spirituality. And I am definitely an out of the broom closet witch. So excited to be chatting with you today.
Yay! Yes, today we are talking about Beltane and how the veil, a lot of people don't know that the veil between the worlds is thinner at Beltane as well. Everyone thinks, oh, it's really thin at Samhain, which is Halloween, but it is also thin at Beltane. So I think we planned this. Oh my gosh, I want to say it was somewhere around Samhain last year. We were like, on an upcoming podcast episode, we should totally talk about this at Beltane.
Yeah. Well, I think it was like, it was around then. And it was definitely before my first guest appearance here on the podcast. So, because you're like, is there anything you want to talk about? I'm like, yes, Beltane. It pisses me off.
Yes. Oh, so that was Yule.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
we did. We went over Yule stuff last time.
That's right. Oh my gosh. How has it been that long?
I don't know.
Where does time go? Anyway. Sorry.
Yeah. So yeah, Beltane is coming up on May 1st. It is a fire festival. There's a lot of other just fun things. It has to do with fairy magic, but it also has to do with, especially more Wiccan based, the god and the goddess come together, in a sacred rite. So it's a fertility festival. It's an abundance festival. It's really fun. It's all about fun, celebration, dancing around bonfires, ribbons in your hair, flowers in your hair, like all that kind of fun stuff. So, but the veil between, so with Samhain, I feel like it's the veil between our world and the spirit realm is the thin one. But because, and a lot of people ask, well, why is it these 2 times a year? So you have to look at the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere. So when we're celebrating Samhain in October, they're celebrating Beltane. So therefore they're approaching their Samhain. So that's why it's also thin for us. But for me, I feel like it does a lot more towards the fairy realm and like that. So do you practice any kind of fairy magic?
I don't tend to. I have been a little wary of that. I will definitely, like, things will go missing and I will tell my family, I'm like, it's the fairies. And so I will ask out loud, please, help me find this thing. But yeah, I feel like, so I have always an interesting thing, like right now for me, I am feeling more of that spirit world coming through, but it's really coming through in dreams. So I'm a little product plug. I'm loving the dream box and all the stuff in it that is just really supportive of dreams, because that's where, for me personally, that kind of opens up. But I will say that, like, it feels like things go missing and little things around the house are just like wacky. Like, not irritating, not dangerous, just kind of like, wait, I didn't leave that remote there, or, whatever. And it'll happen like when my husband's out of town, because he's one of those people, he'll like pick things up and just kind of carry them around. He fidgets with things. But when he's not at home, I still find things like where they shouldn't be. So, it's a little that fae interaction, I think.
Yeah. And even if you don't work with fairy magic, because that's my, I guess, beliefs. Like I have a fairy garden. I just made one in the Ink Spirit Coven. My Ink Spirit Coven, we
So
did a fairy
cute.
garden
Yes.
workshop. Yeah. So that's often my Arizona room, which, is like attached. It's like a Florida room. It's attached to our house.
Yeah.
But I tend to not actively invite them in because they're very mischievous.
Mm-hmm.
Just their way of communicating with us is through tricks and having fun and trying to lighten the mood.
Yeah.
But when I notice things go missing, I have a little bowl full of paper clips, broken gemstones, little metal charms, little like shiny pennies, things like that, it's put away, which I should probably just leave it out, like
probably
all the time. But if I notice something has gone missing, like my favorite, I still have a necklace I cannot find. It is Colin bought it for me for Christmas one year, I think. It's a little resin moon that's filled with lavender.
Oh, okay.
I can't find it anywhere. And lavender, I know, is one of the fairy herbs that they love. So I'm 99% sure. Like, it's been missing for like a year.
Oh my God.
So
maybe get some like sprigs of lavender and put it in the bowl and just be like, here, I will give this to you. Will you please bring my necklace back?
That is exactly what I need to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So even if you don't like practice fairy magic and working with them, I think if they're going to be around, and they're going to be, especially this time of year, they're really going to start to play and have fun with spring and everything.
Oh yeah.
Might as well appease them a little bit.
Yeah.
So you find it thin, the veil being thin for dreams. Do you also, does it extend to the way it is at Samhain, where like you're catching stuff out of the corner of your eye, or you just have that feeling that like something or somebody's in the room with you?
Yeah, so I do that pretty much all year round. And I think that's part of the reason why I don't do fairy magic like formally, besides what we were just talking about, because things just find me. So, but yeah, I have definitely been noticing it kind of creeps me out when I'm out on a walk in the morning with Pluto, and like out of the corner of my eye, I'll see shadow figures. And that's a little creepy, like on a walk, because you're like stranger danger. But yeah, I mean, we've definitely, our ghost cat has shown up a couple of times. And I really feel like it's interesting. Like I was thinking about this morning, is for me around Beltane, the interactions that I have with spirits are more playful. It's the cat showing up, right? Whose name is Stoner, by the way. I knew you would enjoy that. But it's also like, it feels like my spirit guides are really in touch with me in kind of like a growth kind of way. Like it feels like revelations and prophetic dreams and that sort of thing. And then anything that I'm interacting with, it feels very light. And I find that that's pretty interesting because it goes along with the season. Whereas at Samhain, it's, maybe a little darker stuff, and more of my ancestors kind of come through, that sort of thing. But it definitely, like, everybody's like, the veil is thin, it's Samhain. I'm like, the veil is thin at Beltane too. Like, enjoy this beautiful like 6-month cycle, because there's so many opportunities I think that people miss out on around Beltane, that you can really call on your spirit guides and call on your ancestors so much easier right now. It's like, don't waste that time. It's awesome.
I've been finding too, like now that you've mentioned it, I have really, especially within the last month, really been diving down more into my spirituality and my belief system. I made an intention at the beginning of the year to make my spirituality a focus again. And spirituality, like, just to kind of clarify, my spirituality and witchcraft are two different things that awesome or awesome often come together for witches.
And it's awesome. That's what
yeah,
you're trying
it is
to say.
awesome. But like witchcraft practice is its own thing, and then your spirituality, your spiritual beliefs are another thing. But we witches just kind of put them together. A lot of us do.
Mm-hmm.
So my witchcraft practice has been on point for years. Like that's been great. But I have felt a little distance from my spiritual practice. So I made an intention at the beginning of the year, like this is going to be the year I reconnect with that, reconnect with myself. But I feel like it is super amped up.
Yeah.
Especially in the last month. And not only like I've been clamoring for knowledge, clamoring for, deep dives, meditation, like all of that. But it's also been easier to let go and just open up and be like, all right, I don't know what to do right now. So I'm just going to sit here. I give it over, or, I open myself up to some messages, some guidance, whatever.
Yeah.
And I have found that it comes from very strange places.
Yeah. Places you don't expect, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like lines in a TV show.
Oh,
Sometimes,
cool. Yeah.
lines in a movie or a TV show, or like little weird things will happen, and then I'll get the goosebumps and I'll be like, oh, well, thank you.
Right. I love that. Well, and as you're talking, like I'm also thinking about the fact that like we're in Aries season and it moves into Taurus season. Like it's fiery, and then Taurus wants all the like the grounded knowledge and everything. Like we're craving all of these things from the stars, and then it's like Beltane is here or coming, and like Samhain, like as we approach it, it just gets thinner and thinner, and it's just, I think, a really cool pairing between the two, because it's like we're motivated, we're ready to go, unlike at Samhain where we're like physically like winding down for the year, and it's just like, yeah, I'm the same way. I have had a fire under my ass for like weeks. It's amazing. And so much so that, yeah, I will find myself being like, okay, I need to stop and meditate and chat with my guides and figure out what the next step is, because I can see like 20 next steps.
Mm-hmm.
So just kind of falling back into that is so helpful.
Yep. And telling myself too, because I've had that Aries energy, which I always tell my people in Ink Spirit Coven, I'm like, this is the get shit done energy. Like
Yeah,
that's what Aries is. It's get shit done. Which so I think towards so we switch over to Taurus at like the 20th. Although, man, this week is absolutely crazy. If anyone else, and that is this week, because I'm last minute, so we're recording this the day before it's going up.
I love it.
That's how I work. So yeah, this week, which is the week of April 17th through the 16th, I guess would have been Sunday, through Earth Day, which is like the 22nd. We have the Aries new moon with a solar eclipse on the 19th. The 20th Taurus season begins. So Aries ends, Taurus begins. The 21st Mercury retrograde starts. 22nd is Earth Day. Like, I'm just like, okay, there's a lot going on right now. So I think the last of that Aries energy, at least for me, is like kicking me in the ass to get things done, especially with the solar eclipse, because like stuff that's happening now is going to have an energetic ripple effect for the next 6 months. So it trickles over into Beltane. It's going to trickle over into Beltane, where you can light your fires of motivation, moving into summer solstice or Litha, where you're really going to light some fires and enjoy everything. And then, after that, we start to wind down as far as the wheel of the year.
Well, in 6 months, that'll be Samhain too. Yeah. I love the connection, right? Of like, it's the 6-month phase. It's kind of like the moon phases, right? So it's almost like this, I don't know. I'm just brainstorming here. This kind of, to me, feels like that new moon energy, right? We do have that new moon coming up, but also kind of in the wheel of the year where it's like, okay, the things that we're doing right now, we're lighting these fires that are going to carry over into, the next 6 months. And, they're going to come to fruition right around that Samhain time. And it's going to be awesome. It's going to be
Oh, and then it'll be time to dive down and process
yeah.
kind of everything
Yeah.
that has been happening for the last 6 months. Because I think it was actually a big theme of this year, but I know this new moon is about authenticity.
Yeah.
So it's about being your true self and shouting that from the rooftops. I think just to kind of tie it all in too, that is a theme of Beltane, is just celebrating and being yourself. And that actually, if you do ever decide to work with fairies, or any of the listeners decide to do fairy magic, that's what they inject as well, is that playfulness, that be yourself, and a lot of it is unapologetic too, because their way of communicating with us is through pranks and tricks. They're laughing their ass off that you stubbed your toe. You're pissed at first, but then you're like, you know what? Nothing's broken.
Right.
That was funny. All right, lighten up. I get it.
Yeah, exactly.
So it is about just kind of being in the moment, being yourself, and being unapologetic.
Yeah.
That's like the energy of everything right now.
It is.
So I think it's great that this like, we started out as Beltane and Thin Veil, and now hopefully we're just telling people to fucking go for it for the next 6 months. Like,
seriously. Well, and we've got all the big bonfires, right? So it's like great time for fire magic too. Like, what's not serving? Get rid of it. What do you want to light a fire in? And get out and freaking dance around that bonfire and go find, I don't know, a Swedish festival. They're not like the Midsummer movie, I promise. Go dance around the maypole and go have picnics and play and just, enjoy life. And just, I love your message of being authentic, just getting rid of things that don't feel authentic to you, whether that's physical things or emotional or whatever. I love that.
I've always, I light shit on fire. I have a lot of fire in my chart. I have fire and air.
Yeah.
So even before I knew that, I was that little pyro kid.
Love it.
But my dad was a fireman, so it was all fine. Like in my mind, if I set anything bad on fire, my dad would be there, and
it's fine.
But
yeah.
It is very therapeutic to have a controlled fire. And like, you're getting rid of shit. You want to transform. You want to be reborn. You are ready to put this thing, this person, this whatever behind you. Fucking burn their shit. I've never owned any of my ex's stuff. I've always burned it.
Oh, wow. I've done that in the past. Like, even before I realized I was a witch, I always wanted to like burn shit. I'm like, get rid of it.
Yeah.
You go away.
There's something very therapeutic about it. So that is another thing with all these, especially starting with Beltane, I think Beltane's the first fire festival, isn't it?
Well, kind of, like Imbolc is, right?
Oh yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah. But this is like the big one. I always think like Imbolc is like this sweet little like candle on your altar and all that. This one is just the one that just feels big.
Yes.
And bold.
So you can burn shit you don't want to carry with you. You can also set your intentions on fire, like motivationally. That is also symbolic with fire and bonfires and all that good stuff.
That's one of my favorite ways to do it. And then the smoke just like goes out into the universe. And it's so good.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah. This was really fun. I'm really glad everything we covered. I'm not even sure what the title of the podcast is going to be anymore.
Oh, I know. We went in like 5 different directions and I love it.
But it all made sense.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
It all made sense. It all like stayed together kind of in like this fun little, but it was also super informative. And I think that's like real world application. Like I love that. I love sharing that with especially my listeners, busy witch magic. But real world application, like how can you just tap into the energy that's around right now and use it? And so for right now, I think the bottom line is Megan and I are telling you to set shit on fire. Like,
safely.
Yes, safely. Set shit on fire one way or another, whether you're getting rid of shit or you're trying to motivate yourself, safely set shit on fire right now.
Yeah. And just maybe make sure that none of those are like legal contracts after the 21st with Mercury retrograde.
That is a very good
throwing that out there. Just FYI.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you very much for joining me today. Take a second to let everyone know where they can find you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I love to hang out on Instagram, and that's at Megan Winkler MBA, just like the degree. And I think your audience will really love to connect at goodbusinesswitch.com. And we've got lots of resources over there for business witches of any level. And and you can always reach me through the IGC website. I think my IGC email's on the About Us page too. So thank you so much. This was so much fun.
It was fun, and we'll definitely do this again.
Oh, yeah.
So whenever you have another subject that you are passionate about, just let me know and we will hop on and do this, maybe with a little bit more planning next time.
I don't know. This went really well. So I mean, I'm happy with it.
I'm telling you, that's my air and my fire energy come together, and no earth.
Yeah.
In
So
my
I've been bringing some earth, right? Because Taurus is an earth sign, right?
Yeah.
What's Cancer?
Water.
Okay. So I'm bringing in some, I've got my air, my Aquarius, right? So we're both Aquarius suns, but I've got my Taurus moon and my Cancer rising. So to kind of counteract some of your air and fire. And so
that 100% does, because I'm a Leo moon and a Leo rising. So I have 2 fires and
there
then
you
my
go.
air. Yeah. So we balance it. That's why this works so well.
I know, right?
I think from now on, I'm just going to start asking people for their astrological charts.
Right.
Like when I start to like business, because we started out as a business relationship and then it's just formed into this amazing friendship. But just starting out a business, I'm going to start asking for astrological charts.
Yeah. Just be like, what's your big 3?
Yeah.
What are we doing here? And then like, maybe what's your Jupiter like?
Oh, I love it. Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. And to listeners, I hope you all enjoyed this. Thank you for listening, and I will see you all again soon. Bye.